Hello and welcome to week 7 of the Zero to Hero Challenge. And this challenge is going to help you become financially independent, healthier, and happier. So let's get into it here. This week's challenge will be to create a sample budget. And we're going to create this budget as single income budget of a person making $80,000 a year. And as you can see here, I have this pulled up in Notepad. I don't pay for apps or anything like that. I've got my handy dandy calculator right here. So if you have Notepad and a calculator that comes standard on all of your computer operating systems, you should be able to do this quite easily. All right, so to create a budget, you're simply going to track where all the dollars that you make go. So first off, we have income of 80,000, and then we're going to take our expenses and then separate that out between our income and then see where we put our money. Okay, first section is going to be expenses, and this might be a little more expensive depending on where you are in the country, but these are just ballpark figures. And the most important point here is that you do not need exact figures. You need ballpark figures, and then make sure that you are not like either overspending or underspending that much. So if you underspend, that's a happy mistake. But if you overspend, you need to track that to stay on top of it so that you can meet your financial goals. Okay, first line item here, garbage, cell phone, water, power, internet, $3,600. So you can reduce your garbage bill. You can reduce all of these bills. So I'm assuming that you should be able to make this rate. And if you say that this is much higher, well, then you need to work on that. A few of the other challenges will help you with that. So check out my channel. Mortgage rate or rent. So this is going to be based on like a $3,000 a month number, which is quite high. But this is just to demonstrate to you that even if you live in California, where $3,000 a month for an apartment or a house is quite standard, you can still make an $80K budget work to get to your financial goals. The next is food. You're going to be spending around $400 a month for that. If you own an ICE car, it should cost you about $4,000. And this is if you are maybe doing some maintenance yourself. I think that it should be maybe a little higher than this. If you're in California, you're paying gas prices of at least $5.50 at the pump right now. So the way to eliminate this and to save more money would be to get a EV. Even though there's a higher upfront cost, your return on investment is going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's right, hundreds of thousands of dollars if you choose to drive that vehicle like 15 or 20 years, which EVs do last that long. ICE cars have a fire burning inside of them when they're running. That creates a lot of problems, and things break down a lot, and there's a lot of maintenance if you're combusting something in a small space. All right, next is vacation. We're going to say $2,500. Obviously, this could be more or less. You could adjust this budget to whatever you want it to be. That's what's so fun about it, is you're kind of like planning out your own life and adjusting things however you see fit. So I found this actually fun, and that's probably how I became financially independent, is that I turned this into its own game that I play with myself, like solitaire almost, and it became this thing that I wanted to do over time. So I challenge you to try this out. Next is going to be taxes. At this rate, we're going to assume a 22% tax rate, and you're going to be around $15,000. It might be a little higher with Social Security and disability taken out as well, but we're going to be in this general range. Health insurance, assuming, around, let's say $80 a month. Could be a little higher, could be a little lower, depending on your circumstance, but it'll be $1,000 a year. And then $500 for Christmas gifts. That turns out to be, your burn rate is going to be around $54,000. So your burn rate is your expenses, how much you spend on a yearly basis. And this is going to be very important when you calculate your financial independence number. So I'll have more videos on that later, but you would use this number to calculate when you have enough money to become financially independent. So at this rate, you're spending 67% of your income, which to me, you could probably tighten up this and get it down to 60 or even lower your burn rate and save even more money. So your yearly savings would be $26,000. Now, the order of operations for me here at a $26,000 rate, and this is just an example, just a sample, you could do whatever you want. I would put my money into the 401k first, which would actually lower your tax rate, and you'd probably be assessed at more of like a $60,000 income level. So if you choose to put your money into the 401k, that reduces the amount of income that the IRS sees that you have, and then that would even further reduce your taxes. So I would encourage you to do that. Then you could put a little money into your Roth IRA. That would not reduce your income tax rate, but it would give you a foundation to pull money out in when you're retired. So this $5,000 that you put in 5 years could be taken out tax-free if need be. And I kind of use my Roth IRA as a emergency fund for retirement. So I have $50,000 in my Roth IRA that I could take out at any time, tax and penalty free, because that $50,000 has been in the Roth IRA for longer than 5 years. And obviously I contributed to my Roth IRA over like a 20-year period. So that's how I got that $50,000 number. But if you contribute to your Roth IRA little by little over 10 years, you could do the same thing at this rate of $5,000 a year. And then if you had a mortgage, you could pay off your mortgage $11K a year, or you could save $11K a year to buy a house. Now, you might be a little, wary of this example, like, oh no, I can't do it. What I would say to you is you do this little by little. You don't do this all at once. So if your expenses are way higher than this, you have to look at each line item and concentrate on it week by week, like we're doing with the challenge. And 1 week, take your garbage bill, get a smaller trash can, figure out how to waste less. Call up your cell phone company or switch your cell phone company and reduce costs there. Use less water, use less power. Call up your internet company and ask them for a rebate, or you're going to leave. Mortgage or rent is a little bit more challenging, but there are ways to reduce that. Food is really easy. Don't eat out. ICE car can be challenging, but you could eliminate this over time. Maybe your first move is going to be save $11,000 a year till you could buy an electric vehicle to reduce this expense to like $1,000 a year instead of $4,000. And then the next year you're saving more, and you're saving more for a house. So it's all about the prep work. It's all about the details in terms of financial independence. You have to take a look at each one of these line items and make that cost go less. And when you start calculating your net worth on, I would suggest, a weekly basis. So I did it every Saturday or Sunday. I've done it for years now. You will see if you hit your numbers or not. And it will be very apparent to you if you're off on these numbers. And it will also be very apparent to you if you're spending less than is listed here. So simply calculate your net worth on a weekly basis, and you'll be able to track all this very easily. You don't, at first, I went and, let's say, food, I budgeted very tightly, and I took money out of the bank, and I only dealt with a lot of these expenses in cash, so I knew I wasn't overspending. But after a while, after I got used to how I spent, I stopped spending cash, and I put everything on a credit card because I knew that I'd be able to get cash back from the credit card. And that was a good strategy of how to start out budgeting, was to just deal with cash and no credit card, and then transition into the credit card after you're more confident. But just an example, make your budget this week. You're going to tailor it over time. It's going to be a ballpark figure that you're going to ratchet and you're going to reel in, and it'll be a lot of fun for you guys. Please consider leaving a like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this type of content, and I'll see you on the next one.